it's Jay. Welcome to the Gig House Kitchen. Today we're going to make Valentine's chocolate boxes. So let's get down to it. Okay, so first of all we're going to start by making the chocolate truffles. In my bowl I have 200 grams of dark chocolate, and in my jug I have 150 ml of heavy cream or whipping cream. I also have some vanilla bean paste because I like the flavour, but you could put in peppermint or almond or anything that you liked really. Some people like essence, some people like extract, but I prefer the paste. In order to make the truffles, the first thing we have to do is heat up the chocolate, and we do that by warming up our cream. I'm going to go and put it in the microwave, probably on a medium heat, and I'm going to do it at 30-second bursts just to make sure I don't curdle my cream. You don't want to make sure that it's at boiling point, you want to make sure it's just nice and hot. Okay, so my cream is nice and hot now. You want to make sure it's not boiling. So in order to melt the chocolate, all I'm going to do is pour this really warm cream into it, so I cover it completely. You may want to use a spatula or a spoon just to make sure all the nuggets of chocolate are nice and immersed in the hot cream. But it's really important that you don't stir it for a couple of minutes because the warm cream needs to do its job and help the chocolate to melt. So I've given my chocolate and my warm cream a couple of minutes, and it should be ready now to give a good stir and make into a ganache. So I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to give it a good mix. Now you might find that there are a couple of lumps of chocolate left in this from the hot cream. If that's the case, then what you can do is give it another blast in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time. But you want to be really careful because chocolate can start curdling and bubbling and you can ruin the taste of your truffles. Once it's all nice and stirred, I can then add my flavour of choice. Okay, so I'm going to take my vanilla bean paste. But like I said, you can use peppermint, almond, even rum, anything that you like the flavour of. And because I like it good and vanilla-y, I'm going to add a full teaspoon. And I'm going to give that a good mix. Okay, so all my chocolate is now melted into my warm cream, and I've put in the vanilla paste. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it in a cold place for it to go nice and firm so we can mould it into truffle chocolates. You can put it into the fridge if you're short of time, but I think it's much better if you give it longer to cool down. So I'm going to go do that now. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make the chocolate truffle boxes. What I have in front of me are a few things that you're going to need. You're going to need a glue stick, you're going to need some scissors, you're going to need a ruler that has got millimetre dimensions on it, you're going to need a sharp pencil, you're going to need some ribbon or things to decorate your box with. Here I also have some tissue paper to go inside just so the truffles look extra lovely. What you're also going to need is a squarish card of some kind. If it's too rectangular, it will make your boxes not very sturdy, so you want to try and keep it as square as possible. Here I have one with a pretty design on the front, and I've chosen one that is blank inside. This is really important because the inside of your card is going to become the base of your box. Sometimes they have nice little messages in them, and that's quite nice on the bottom of the box, but I prefer a blank one because I just think it looks more professional. In order to create your box, what you have to do first of all is divide your card into two. You can do this by folding the edges, giving it a nice crease, and then some people tear them apart with the ruler. However, I think that gives a bit of an unneat finish, so I'm going to draw a line down the middle, and I'm going to use a pair of scissors to cut it nice and neatly. Take my scissors and I cut nice and neatly. Don't rush because you want to make your box as good as possible, and it all comes down to precision. Okay, so I have two sides of my card now, two pieces, and one is obviously going to be the top of the box, that's the bit with the design on it, and then the inside of the card, so not the back of the card, that is going to become the bottom of my box. So what I do is, my two sides that are going to be the inside of my box, I'm just going to put a little dot in the corner so I remember to put my borders and everything onto those. So in order to fit my truffles in, I've decided that my card is 11 centimetres wide, and I'm going to give myself a 3 centimetre border all the way around. It's really important that you measure this really well, because otherwise your box won't fit together properly. In order to make sure that my 3 centimetres is correct the whole way around, I measure 3 centimetres in, and I'm going to make 3 points, because if I have 3 points, I know that I'm making a straight line that is even and equal all the way round. You can make your box as tall or as thin or as small as you want it to be, just depends what you want to put inside. These boxes, although we're using them for chocolate truffles at the moment, are fantastic for any kind of small gift, such as earrings or a bracelet, or anything like that that you would like to do. So I'm going to draw around. I'm just going to go back and double check that my line is 3 centimetres, because obviously, as I said before, if it's not equal, then my box isn't going to work. So 3 points all the way around. Nice and straight and clear. Okay, so what I've created here is an even 3 centimetre border all the way around. It's really important that you have these boxes in the corner, because you're going to need to snip those in a minute in order to make the feet for your box. So I've checked it's all correct. Now what I have to do is start putting it together. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut a slit all the way up to where the pencil marks meet in the centre, where they make a little cross. Don't go any further than the cross, otherwise your box will start to fall apart. And then what you'll see is you've got little feet. These little feet are going to create part of your box. Then what I do is I get my ruler, and where my pencil lines are, I'm going to fold it over. So every pencil line you need to fold properly over. So I've done it that way, and now I do it this way. Okay, so what you'll see is you'll start to see that is taking shape now. You can see that's going to become how the box looks. We're going to glue it all together in the right place in a minute, and you'll see what it's created. You can also see how deep the box is going to be. So you need to make sure that whatever you're going to put inside is obviously going to fit. So I've done that on one side. I'm now going to do it on the underneath side, exactly the same process, and then I'll show you how to glue it. Okay, so now I've done the same to the base of the box. You'll see I have two things that look the same here, okay? I folded them in like I said before. So I'll show you how to glue the box. So these little feet that I like to call them, they are going to have glue on the outside and they're going to tuck inside. So I'm going to make sure with my glue stick that I get glue all over this square, right up to the edges. Take your time with it. And it's much easier because the box is small and getting quite stiff now that we're putting it together into a box shape, that you glue both feet and stick it together rather than doing 1 foot at a time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck those feet under, and it's easier if you put it on the table, pick the flap up, and then you have got a nice end to your box there. Nice and straight, nice and neat, everything is perpendicular. And then you just repeat the process on the other side. Again, flat to the table, stick your feet in and pull your flap up. Hold it together for a few seconds, and there you have the top of your box. And you just do the same thing with the bottom, leave it to dry, and then your box, if you have done the border correctly, should slot nicely together. Okay, so as you can see, I have glued my 2 box halves together. It's nice and firm, nice and sturdy, and I've got my top and I've got my bottom. Now, once you've made your box, you want to decorate it. So what you can do is you can get nice bits of tissue paper and you can put those in the bottom. So you'll see I've just cut out a piece that's sort of rectangular, fits in there nicely. And then for our truffles, I've got petit four cases that fit in just nicely there. And you'll see I'll be able to put my truffles in a little bit. So let's go and shape the truffles. Okay, so we've got our ganache out of our cool place. It's now nice and firm, and we're going to have a go at moulding them into truffle balls. Unfortunately, chocolate melts really easily. You're quite warm, so you have to do this quite quickly. And if the ganache starts to get loose again because it isn't cold enough, feel free to put it back in the fridge or in your cold place for 5-10 minutes just until it firms up again. So here we go. So obviously you need to make your balls the shape that you want them to be. I think that's a good size amount, and I'm just going to give it a little roll with my hands. You'll see the chocolate starts to melt a little bit, but that's not a problem because they're going to go back into a cool place or the freezer in order to firm up. So I'm just going to do that a few times. Try and make sure that you get truffle size balls that are even. And also try and make sure that you separate them quite well on the plate. Otherwise, your truffle balls are going to stick together. That's going to be irritating. Okay, so nice and sticky and messy, but my truffle balls are moulded, so I'm going to put them into the fridge just for 5 minutes, just to get nice and firm again before I dip them in some melted white chocolate. Okay, so now my moulded chocolate truffles have come out of the fridge. They're nice and firm. This needs to happen so that the melted white chocolate doesn't make them go all runny again. So what I don't want to do is just plonk my chocolate truffles straight into the hot mixture. What instead I want to do is put one on the end of a fork and then use a spoon to sort of put the chocolate all over the top. Then what I can do is take another fork and just gently lift it off onto some baking parchment. Now it's important that you put baking parchment onto the bottom of the plate, otherwise, as we found out earlier, your white chocolate is going to mould itself straight to the plate. You never get it off again. So I'm going to do that with a few of these. Plonk it onto my fork and then just coat it with a nice layer of white chocolate. Make sure you don't let this white chocolate be too hot when you do it, otherwise they are going to melt very quickly. So, now that I've covered them, it's really important that you then lift them up gently with 2 forks again onto some new parchment paper, and then what you won't get is like a big flat bit of chocolate on the bottom, which no one wants. Now, in order to make these look really pretty, you can do a number of things to decorate them. One thing you can do is put some dark melted chocolate into like a lunch bag, a little plastic Ziploc bag, cut a little bit out of the edge, and then you can just sprinkle some chocolate on top. What I personally like to do is take some of these lovely dried strawberries, because I think the pink is really nice with the white, and obviously for Valentine's Day, and place some of those on top. Also gives it some nice flavour. Okay, and then all that needs to happen is they go back into the freezer or into the fridge just for a quick blast chill, just to get them right down and firm, and then they're ready to go in your box. So, off to the fridge. Okay, as you can see, our chocolate truffles have come out of the fridge. They're nice and firm, and I've put them in these petit four cases because they look really sweet. I've also put 2 of them into our present boxes, ready to be wrapped up and given away as a gift. So as you can see, you just put your lid nice and firmly on top of your box, and then once you've done that, you can get a lovely piece of ribbon and you can tie a nice sweet bow over your box, and it's ready to go as a present. So there you have it, Valentine's Day chocolate truffle boxes. Thank you for joining us in the Gig House Kitchen. If you like this video, please remember to subscribe. See you next time.